Welcome to the STARS program, seniors taking active roles in society. And now, here's your host, ANITA FINLEY.
It's called Innovative Senior Care. That's what we all are looking for because there's so much senior care going on now, and it's probably the biggest thing. And I wanted to have an expert tell us about it. And so Dr. Alan SADOWSKY is here in our studio. He's a senior vice president of the community-based service called PACE. Welcome to the show, Dr. SADOWSKY.
Pleasure to be here.
You know, Dr. SADOWSKY, I have to say that in everyone, if you went into a room, no matter what the ages are, young people, older people, and you ask the question, are you caring for an older adult in some way, probably every hand would go up. And you've been in this business a long time as I've been, and I've just seen it grow exponentially. It's been amazing.
Yeah, the growth curve is really remarkable. I'm part of Morselife health system, and we're like a full-service community, senior care community. And I've been there 15 years, and over that period of time, I've watched the evolution and the development of senior care. And when we built our assisted and independent living, in order to build a massive project, you were talking about $100 million, you have to do market analysis and penetration studies and focus groups and all that. So we engaged some national healthcare consultants to look at the demand projections. And back when we did this, it's now 10 years old, they showed graphically that the demand for community-based services was going to increase 830% by the year 2030. And so what we're seeing is this sea change of, long-term care facilities, what we used to call nursing homes, is going to show relatively flat growth. And that's because the impetus now with congressional legislation, with funding, with personal, family, and individual desires is to avoid institutional care. The demand for independent and assisted living is going to increase about 300%. And whatever we see in the senior care market, we see exponentially more intensely here in South Florida because of the demographics. And so if you choose to want to work in senior care, this is like nirvana because the demand, it's like... it's the reverse. I call it the reverse Las Vegas effect. What happens in Las Vegas stays in Las Vegas. Here, what happens in the senior community resonates throughout the world, really, because we're on the vanguard of care.
And I'm glad you brought up a very good point. The vanguard of care. There's care and there's not care. Anyone in this business says we really care for the senior adult. But I have, and you have, been to places where I don't call it care. They're just warehousing them.
Right.
But when I had the pleasure of going to Morse Geriatric, the Morselife, it was really very exciting to see what you were doing there. People painting, people enjoying themselves, and someone caring about who that individual was. Now, this is a daycare center.
Well, yeah, there's so many ways to respond to that. First of all, we had Nurses Week recently, and I had the pleasure of honoring one of our nurses who I've worked with for a long time. And the caption for the article was, Morselife Health System, where only the best is acceptable. And so in one day, it's very common for us to see people who are living in some of the poorest communities in our county, and then in the same hour, staff someone who is living in a mansion in Palm Beach. And the people who receive our services are entitled to the best care no matter where they live. So that's really our motto. And then you mentioned daycare. I know we're going to be talking about PACE, which is an acronym standing for Program All-Inclusive Care for the Elderly. And one of the features of PACE, which we'll talk about, is it requires you to have an adult day program as part of it. So when we were considering the feasibility of doing a PACE program about 3 years ago, we engaged some consultants to review the feasibility. And a PACE program can provide about 32 different programs. We were already providing 31. So the consultant's report said, if you guys can't do a PACE program at Morselife, we don't know who can. And so we went ahead with our plans. But it's the minutia, the application weighed in at about 12 pounds. It took pretty much the better part of a year of solid work to get all the policies and procedures. We had to invest millions of dollars to modify our existing adult day to make it larger. And then there's all these different licensing requirements and agencies that have to certify that you can provide this comprehensive care. So the theory behind PACE is we're taking a group of seniors, and to be eligible to be in a PACE program, you have to be 55 years or older. We don't see very many 55-year-olds. Our average age is probably a little bit over 80. And you have to be eligible to be in a nursing home, which means you have to show deterioration in at least 2 areas of daily function. So the program is primarily serving people who are receiving Medicare and Medicaid. So the prototypical person that we serve is over 80, eligible to be in a nursing home, has limited financial means, and we provide comprehensive care. If they go to a nursing home, we pay for that. They go to a hospital, an acute care episode, we pay for that. They need medicine, we provide the medicine. We provide home care if they need some additional help getting ready in the morning to come to our program. We have staff therapists, occupational, physical, speech therapists. We have psychologists that we use. And we have a very social model. So you remember when you came to visit, you see people actively engaged and having fun. So these are often people who are suffering from not being attended to clinically, often clinically depressed. And they'll come and say, well, I love this idea and we'd like to come to the program, but my mom or my wife or me, I don't really like to be around people, and but I would like to enroll. And then 2 days after they enroll, it's like, why aren't you open Saturday and Sunday? Because, they have so much fun. We've actually seen people come to our front door, go through the enrollment, and I'll talk about that, suffering from malnutrition. In the year 2015, people who have all the clinical characteristics of someone who has not been eating nutritionally for a long period of time. I mean, that's unacceptable. We feed the folks who come there. They have a very nutritious hot breakfast, a lunch. Those people who may need it, we would provide a take-home meal as well. All of that. I mean, I am so blessed to be part of this system called Morselife Health System. We have over 1,500 employees. We have 10 different companies within the campus. So we pride ourselves in having an organization that is both horizontally and vertically integrated so that we can provide the care that a senior needs. One thing that all of our clients have in common is that they're continuing to age. We all are, obviously, but our clients are suffering from regressive disease, so their needs are only going to get more intense. So what started out as a minor issue is progressing over a period of time. And for some clients, we're trying to make that transition with them as they have precious little time left. So we essentially become like a palliative care provider.
Well, I dare say that you're really increasing their life. I mean, that maybe at age 80, they started with you, but by age 85, they're like 75 because you're giving them all the things they should have had.
We've seen that. It's, PACE becomes really a passion. When we interview, our staff just keeps growing. I just returned from Washington. We had our national meeting, and by all measures, it seems like we are the fastest growing PACE provider in the country.
You had a national meeting of other PACE providers?
Right.
And there are a lot of them?
There are 116 PACE programs in 32 states now. And it's serving about 35,000 people, which sounds like a lot, but it's really just a dot on the radar screen. PACE, we intend for PACE to grow hopefully in my lifetime, to 500,000 people or so. Wherever PACE has been, the customer satisfaction has been through the roof, because we're dealing with people who have often been neglected. Every morning we start the day with like 16 people sitting around a table talking about specifically, a few different clients and what their needs are, and are their needs being met. And for many of the people, for the overwhelming majority of the people that we serve, this is an unbelievable new experience. We've had in like 18 months about 18 deaths. So we're seeing some very sick people. But
that's not a lot.
I've kept a notebook
months.
of the letters that we've received from their family members. Like, when a loved one dies, it's a very traumatic event. But we've gotten these letters about, thank you for making my mom's life meaningful for the past few months, or we didn't know what we would do until we returned to you.
I want everyone to know, and this is such a brilliant conversation. I'm going to just tell you something. But first, let me mention this to everyone. Dr. Alan D. SADOWSKY, Senior Vice President of the Community-Based Services, PACE, and he's actually Executive Director of the Kramer Senior Service Agency. He's right there. The Maryland and Stanley MCAT Seniors Campus, and it is. If you haven't been to Morselife, you would not believe it. It's not only beautiful on the outside, the bricks and mortar are beautiful, but it's also inside, which is very important. But, I want to become involved in this somehow, because I'll tell you, I have a problem. I have so many people that call me with such problems. And I've just been in my brain trying to design something for all of us, but for them, because they're not living the way that we intended. When we had our own home, remember, our families, my grandmother, everyone was there. That's what you're doing, in a sense. You're really giving people something that I have never heard before. When I went and saw PACE, I was astounded. And somehow you have to get me involved in this, because I think we need to have a lot more of these. It sounds to me like you need a lot of money to do this, though.
You do.
That's the problem.
Yeah, you mentioned a number of things. First of all, I think you're very insightful, because what we're looking for is to help people to live, not to exist. And there's a big difference. And so, again, I'm blessed. We have a very dynamic president and CEO, a guy by the name of Keith Myers, and he's always thinking about, we're already talking about our next campus, which will probably be not too far from where this studio is.
Good.
And the whole design of our campus, the whole culture of Morse is excellence. We do a lot to recognize our employees. We do a lot so that when someone makes that turn into our campus, they don't feel like they're visiting a depressing place. It's not an accident that the grounds are immaculate, that the buildings are spick and span, that the furniture is really modern, because that just shows how much we respect the people that we serve. And it's, so there's great artwork.
Dr. SADOWSKY, I know that there's so much more to say, and we'll have to have you back again. I want everybody to have a way to get in touch with you. So to call Morselife for more information, just go to their website, which is morselifepace.org.
Morselife, MORSELIFE.org. And the PACE number is there.
Okay. So let's do that again. It's morselife.org. Okay, morselife.org, and you'll talk about the PACE program. The phone number is 561-868-2999. That's 868-2999. This is one of the most wonderful things I've ever heard of. It's a program of all-inclusive care for the elderly. Thank you so much for sharing this, and we certainly want to have you back again.
Thank you for having me.